even in an unprecedented seller's market. If you're thinking about getting your house on the market, or you have your house on the market right now, the whole idea of going through inspections can be downright stress-inducing. So that's what we're talking about today, home inspection tips for sellers, and we're getting started right now. Hi, I'm Angela Lockett. I'm a realtor with Narrative Real Estate in the western suburbs of St. Louis. Welcome to my channel. If you like this video, would you consider giving me a thumbs up, subscribing to my channel, and hitting that little bell icon so that you'll be notified every time I post a new video. Since you're watching a video all about home inspection tips for sellers, it's likely that you either already have your home on the market and you're stressed out about inspections, or you're thinking about listing your home and you're already stressed about inspections. So today I'm giving you 5 home inspection tips for sellers that will make the process a little bit easier and maybe even help you sleep a little better. Once your home is under contract, the buyer has a specified period of time during which they may have inspections. The buyer's agent will schedule these inspections. At a minimum, the buyer will have a general home inspection that covers the whole house from top to bottom, roof to foundation. They may also have any number of other inspections: a radon inspection, sewer lateral inspection, termite inspection, gas inspection, well, septic. You get the idea. Usually an effort is made to complete all of these inspections at the same time, but sometimes that's just not possible. The inspection will probably take a minimum of an hour and a half and could take as long as 3 hours depending on the size of the house and the significance and number of items that the inspector flags. Once the buyer has been able to review the inspection report with their buyer's agent, they will send you an inspection notice, either indicating that they're happy with the house the way it is, that they're not happy and they're walking away, or that there are a few things they'd like you to consider taking care of. So how should you prepare for that home inspection? Tip number 1. First of all, your home should be in the same condition that it was when the buyer wrote the offer. You probably felt a huge relief as soon as your house went under contract, but it's not a done deal yet. The inspection period begins as soon as you're under contract, goes for a specified time, and is intended to be an escape hatch for the buyer. And it's during the inspection period that the buyer could walk away from the contract without penalty. So during the inspection period, you're still courting that buyer. Even in a brand new house, the inspector will find items to flag because no house is perfect. What we don't want is for the flaws found in the house to outweigh the reasons that the buyer had for writing an offer on the house in the first place. So again, make sure everything in the house is just as clean and inviting as it was on the day the buyer came through and wrote the offer. Tip number 2, make sure you take care of any minor repairs that are still on your to-do list. The reality is that those pro photos that you've had taken of the house and been used to market the home don't reveal everything. And believe me, an inspection will. So now that the buyer is going to come back and go through the house with a magnifying glass, these are the details that we want to make sure that we've taken care of. Things like fireplace doors that don't exactly close quite right, doorknobs that are loose, or maybe a leaky faucet. You also want to take care of any maintenance items that need to be done, making sure you don't have any burned out light bulbs, making sure that you have a clean furnace filter, that your gutters are clear of debris, and that there's no vegetation that has grown up against the house or the gas or the electrical meter. Tip number 3, make sure that the inspector has access to everything in the house that he or she will need to inspect. For example, if you have a detached garage or some other secondary structure that's normally locked, make sure that there are keys available to the inspector and that they're clearly marked. And if there are parts of the house that are locked for some other reason, for instance, maybe you have a room that's locked to keep children out of it, along with having keys to any doors that might be locked, make sure if you have a gas fireplace that their key is there for unlocking the gas. In that same category, make sure that pilot lights are lit on furnaces, gas fireplaces. Even if it's summertime, make sure that that furnace pilot is lit, because anything that the inspector can't inspect because it's not turned on, will be flagged as possibly having a problem. Along the same lines, you want to make sure that anything that should be turned off is turned off. The only thing I can think of in that category really is alarm systems. You'll need easy access to the water heater, the sump pump, the electrical panel, the attics, crawl spaces, foundations, and everything in between. This might require some tidying up or some further decluttering that wasn't covered when you listed the house. If possible, you might want to think about emptying the dishwasher because though the inspector is not going to do your dishes, he is going to run the dishwasher. Tip number 4, make sure you provide operating instructions to anything in the house that might have unique or specific instructions that go with it. For example, if you have a gas fireplace, make sure it's clear how to light that fireplace. If the inspector cannot operate the gas fireplace, then he'll have to flag it as not operating properly. Make sure that any remote controls that operate things like ceiling fans, surround sound systems, or blinds are all clearly marked. So again, just make sure everything is functioning properly and that if there's specific instructions needed, that they're provided. Tip number 5, make sure you leave the home. You know how it is if you're walking through a retail store and the salesperson is following along behind you. Creepy. Nobody likes that. You want to give the buyer and the inspector and the buyer's agent the privacy to go through and really evaluate the house without feeling like you are hovering behind them. With so many people working from home, I know that that's not always possible to be out of the house during the inspections, but with as much as lies within you, you want to try to make that happen. And don't forget about your pets. Unless your pet is crated, they really should be out of the house as well. One of my inspector friends told me a story about inspecting a home where he'd been instructed by the listing agent that the seller had a cat. The cat was very shy and would not bother anybody. So they had their inspection, and during the whole time of the inspection, they never actually did see the cat. So they figured, well, that's true. The cat was incredibly shy, never did even see it. So they went through the whole house. The buyers left, the buyer's agent left, and the inspector was locking up and noticed the cat on the patio. Well, there was no way that he was going to leave that cat sitting on the patio. So he scrambled around. With some resistance from the cat, he was able to get the cat in the house. Later that day, when the homeowner returned home, he found his cat safe and sound. And another cat that somehow got into his house. So make sure you take your pets with you. It'll make for a much less stressful situation for everyone. And this is a bonus tip. If you haven't listed your home yet, but you're thinking about it, you might want to consider getting a pre-listing home inspection. It will remove a lot of stress because you'll know about all these inspection items before you even go on the market. It can help make you money because buyers are so much more motivated to buy a home that's in good repair. But also, it's going to save you money because when a buyer addresses an issue during the inspection period, you don't have time to evaluate those items the same way you would if you were evaluating them before you're on the market. When you do a pre-listing inspection, you have time to shop around with different contractors and really do your homework on repairs and make sure that you get the best deal and are better able to evaluate whether repairs even need to be done and what's the least expensive solution. So there you have it, 5 home inspection tips for sellers. If you like this video, please give it a thumbs up. And if you haven't already, go ahead and subscribe to my channel and hit that notification icon so that you're notified every time that I post a new video. Again, thanks for stopping by, and I'll see you on the next one. Either way, it's true. One of the most stressful aspects of selling a home is the inspection period, but it doesn't have to be.